Well, welcome back to the Amateur Chronicles. This is a lot going on in one video. This is my first time appearing on screen as myself. I am the amateur of these Amateur Chronicles. Decided it's high time I appeared on screen, and today I'm going to do something a bit fun and a bit personal. I'm going to be reacting to a video made by a friend of mine here, Zero, who has made his started his own series on weird and stupid history. So I'm going to let him take it away, and then interrupt occasionally to either poke fun at him or just to add my own analysis. Here we go.
Well, good evening everybody, it's Zero, and welcome to the first in what is hopefully going to be many videos on weird and stupid history. I'm going to be...
Yes, I hope it's many videos, because he makes awesome content. I am a bit biased, but he makes awesome content.
taking a look at some of the stories that in history just either just don't make sense, are just plain strange and weird, or the stuff that's really stupid and quite funny. I've seen quite a few stories.
By the way, he does fit into the last category of stupid and funny. I'm probably going to get an angry message saying that about him.
I'm quite looking forward to getting some of these videos out actually, so let's go, shall we? So this first one is going to be based on a story that I learned quite a while ago, and I wasn't sure if it was true. Now, still don't know if it's 100% true, mainly because the problem is with some of history is that, especially some of the older history, some of it is done through word of mouth only, and it's only written by one source, and that obviously causes a couple of issues when it comes to...
Yeah, that's one of the biggest takeaways you learn pretty quickly in history is the importance of people's sort of journals and diaries. Like, you know, those yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Like, you know, like someone who just got journals what you'd consider to be everyday kind of shit. That comes in really handy for history. And I mean, like, take an example. We know that ancient Egypt's sort of biggest trading partner was a nation called Punt. I think that's how it's pronounced anyway. We know loads about them, apart from where they were, because no one ever wrote it down. Because obviously, who's going to need to know where Punt was? Everyone knows where Punt is. But yeah, we could have done with someone just noting down some hieroglyphs or something somewhere. By the way, Punt is over this way. Anyway, carrying on.
So trying to figure out whether the story is true or not. So some stories you do need to take it with a pinch of salt, and some of it you need to take with a literal bag of salt. So we'll see if this actually ends up being true. I hope it is, because it's really bloody stupid. But it also kind of makes a little bit of sense. So here we go. So
yes, he's that's also applies greatly to him. He is a bit stupid at times, but he makes a lot of sense. By the way, I should probably add a disclaimer to this. This isn't a blind react. This, you know, the first time I've seen it. This is the second time I've seen it, because I've already commented on his original video. But I thought this would be funny to react to him for once, rather than just watching him react to other people.
this story is the Viking who died from a tooth. Yes, a big, wonderful, beautiful Viking warrior who died from a tooth. So, this guy was a guy called Sigurd Eysteinsson. I think I pronounced that right. I'm not
I have no idea how that's pronounced at all, but carry on, Zero.
entirely sure. I may be butchering the name. I'm not 100% sure. He was also known as Sigurd the Mighty, and he ruled from 875 to 892 AD. Now, he was the second...
So that was 100 and something odd years before Leif Erikson first sailed to America. So yeah, this is... So I think they were just coming across to Britain at that time. I think. Yeah, no, of course they were. This is about somewhere in England. Sorry, rambling.
Earl of Orkney, which at the time was a Viking raiding center.
By the way, for people who aren't familiar with geography, this area here, this green area here down here, is what we call Scotland. Thanks for adding that in, Zero. Really handy to show people where it is.
It was technically not within the Viking Kingdom. It was a place where Viking exiles used to be sent. And this was following the reunification of Norway by none other than Harald Fairhair, who you might have heard of before. Now, Sigurd was one of the guys who...
No, never heard of this bloke before at all. Carrying on.
Who went over to Orkney to help clear the rebels out. And they did. However, the original person who was supposed to be taking the settlement didn't. He decided to give it on to his brother, which was Sigurd. And so he...
So, wait. The brother was called Rognvald Eystein? Oh, no. I really shouldn't interrupt him. Carry on.
Then became the Earl of Orkney. In those times, it was quite common for local rulers to attack each other. Usually in sort of battles where there were rules, I guess, like honourable battles, I guess, which, considering the time, was actually kind of rare, I guess, rather than just, storming the place with as many soldiers as you can find and hoping that somebody gives out at some point. However...
Yeah, the Vikings, particularly in this period, well, a lot of Vikings throughout history, really defied the convention of their time. I mean, we have records of, Saxon men being upset by how much the Vikings were, maintaining good personal hygiene and attracting Saxon women. So yeah, the Vikings were very, very different for their times, and this sounds like it's, organising a scrap with a couple of lads down at the pub or something, but carrying on.
Sigurd decided to challenge a local ruler, who was called Mael Brigt. I think that's how you say that name. Again, I could be completely butchering the name at this.
Okay, so that's some Icelandic with butchering, some Celtic with butchering, and some English, because just generally he butchers English when he speaks. I'm going to get so much hate mail from him.
Point I literally do not know, but I think that's how you say it. Mael Brigt. I don't know. I didn't put any pronunciation in my script, and I wish I had. This honourable battle was supposed to be a 40-a-side battle between Sigurd and Mael, and this was for the conquest of Mael's local area, which was just south of Orkney. I can't actually remember the name, but there we go. This was all written in the Orkneyinga Saga, which was written just after the time, or during the time. This was supposed to be an honourable battle, right? Everyone was supposed to get on with each other, everyone was supposed to fight each other nice and honourably, and...
If you can't tell what's coming already, yeah, it's a bit odd that they were having these kind of rules of, only 40 men aside, and there's going to be people breaking the rules left, right, and centre if they can get away with it. But here we go.
Whoever won, if Mael won, he kept the area. If Sigurd won, he would take the area. Unfortunately, Sigurd was a bit of a twat, and he decided that he was going to take double the amount he was supposed to
bit of a twat sounds like an understatement at this point.
Take, which between them they agreed to a 40-a-side battle. 40 v 40. Take your best warriors. Seems perfectly fine, that seems perfectly fair. See what happens between 40 and 40 fights. Unfortunately, Sigurd, like I said, is a bit of a twat, and he decided to take double. He took 80 men, and I'm sure you can imagine how well that went down. Obviously, Mael was just sat there thinking, okay, what are you doing? This was supposed to be a 40-a-side battle, and yet you've brought twice as much. Mael didn't have 80 men, he still had 40, and Sigurd basically just turned around and said, well, tough shit.
Sounds like Sigurd definitely did his research and found out the maximum number of men that Mael could put on the field. So yeah, he definitely must have had someone either get in there or just have really good scouts who got a good eye in. Just never go too much, but yeah.
I bought 80 men. We're taking the area. It doesn't matter what you think. We're keeping the area. So yeah, I'm sure you can imagine how well that went for Mael. Now, of course, Mael died. Mael was killed, and so were all of his men. So Sigurd was obviously the victor, and he was thinking, oh, I've taken this area. Beautiful. But you know what I really need? I really need a trophy. I need a trophy of this fight. So he beheaded him. He beheaded Mael. Which is modern day, maybe a bit of a stray bed.
Yeah, also, talking to him is a lot like that, but to be fair, I do as well. That when we all used to hang out, like me, him, and our mutual friend Prinny, English was definitely a second language to all of us. It would just be a lot of kind of fumbling over words and trying to get it straight. But anyway.
Which, obviously, to the modern day, it would be a little bit of a strange thing to do, unless it's obviously the whole thing of Vikings drinking from the skulls of their enemies, which might actually be true now that I think about it.
Yes, that is actually true. Vikings did drink from the skulls of their enemies. I think there's some examples of them actually being gilded as well, to be drunk from the skulls. But yeah, also this whole thing is an object lesson in, you know, stealing someone else's sword or armour after they're dead.
But anyway, there was a slight problem with this, okay? Now, Mael had a nickname. Mael had an interesting nickname, which was Mael the Buck-Toothed.
Also, yeah, Vikings gave each other a lot of really weird nicknames. Well, a lot of history is full of weird nicknames, but here we go.
Toothed, yes, toothed. He literally had a giant buck tooth that stuck out the front of his mouth. So, Sika beheaded him, strapped his head to his belt, and left. Simple enough so far, right? Right? Seems simple enough so far. However,
yeah, pretty simple.
Something interesting happened along the way. Something very, very interesting. Now, remember when I said that he was buck-toothed? Okay? Just remember that. At some point during the ride back, Mael's buck tooth scratched Sigurd's leg. Just his buck tooth. It scratched his leg. Just a little scratch on his leg. Not much, you know. Maybe a bit of a superficial wound. You know, a little bit of blood maybe, a little scratch, you know, nothing major. You can't expect something major from just a scratch from a tooth, okay? However, at some point on the journey, that buck tooth scratching his leg, the scratch actually started to become quite badly infected.
This is really not surprising at all, because I'm sure anyone will tell you, like, a dog bite won't necessarily become infected, even though a rabies injection is a good idea. But a bite from a human will generally become infected because we have so much more bacteria in our mouths. So yeah, being scratched on the leg, and especially if you manage to cut through the sort of the mail or leather or whatever he was wearing, and scratch the skin, it could really lead to some quick bacterial development in the wound.
And they're quite badly inflamed. I don't know what they did to try and help him with this. I don't know if they would have bothered, to be honest, because
probably try to hack the whole leg off, to be fair.
You know, he's a big, strapping Viking warrior who knows how to fight, and he will take any injury as nothing.
I don't know if it's the beard or the voice as well, but he sounds so much like Brian Blessed when he does that.
He will not respond to any big injury. Slight problem though. This scratch, as I said, became badly infected and inflamed. It didn't stop. It became worse and worse and worse as the ride got on. After a certain amount of time, he became very, very ill. To the point where he actually ended up dying from the infection. He died from the infection caused by a small scratch on his leg from a tooth.
This also another thing it's not really surprising, because there is the historical record of, unfortunately, Jack Daniels, who invented the famous bourbon. He, in a rage, kicked his floor safe when he couldn't remember the combination, broke his foot, and died from the gangrene caused by him kicking the safe several years later.
Right. There is some sort of poetic justice there, I think. You know, you cheat at a fight with this guy. you cut his head off. You're thinking, I'm the victor. I've taken this victory. And then all of a sudden, yeah, his tooth decides to scratch you and you die from that. Bit of a strange thing to start happening, I think. Now, the weird thing is, right, is that this was all written in the Orkney saga, okay? Which told of the history of, well, the Orkneys and the surrounding areas. There's only one source to say that this is what actually happened. I suspect that while this might have happened, because the sagas have actually been quite accurate in how they explain history and how they record it, they have actually been quite accurate.
yeah, Vikings, despite their reputation as being marauding bands of raiders, they kept there is record of them keeping meticulous records basically, and yeah, it's how we know so much about them, and they actually towards hygiene, food, divorce, paying compensation to their warriors, this sort of thing.
I have a funny feeling that this might actually have been a battle wound, where he got a small wound from during the fight, and he didn't realise that he had the wound. Again, whether or not that's true, I don't know, because that was never recorded.
That is also quite possible, because early battlefields were, well, I mean, even up until World War One, World War Two, battlefields were horribly disease-ridden, places where you could get scratched on all manner of things, develop trench foot, that sort of thing. I mean, I think most battles up until at least World War One, maybe World War Two, you would suffer just as many casualties from diseases as you would from actual enemy engagement.
But the odds of dying from a scratch from a tooth seem pretty low. But then again, you have to think about this, they didn't exactly have much in the way of medical care, or any sort of medical care that wasn't beyond a poison.
There is some sort of there was a trend certainly amongst the Vikings of after that, if someone was wounded, they would feed them a really strongly flavoured onion soup. I don't know what period this was in, and the wounded warrior would eat it, and then the person caring for them would smell the wounds, and if they could smell onions, it was an indicator that there was internal bleeding. What they did about the internal bleeding is another matter entirely, but that's how they found it.
Because, well, for some reason at that time we thought the best medical thing to give somebody was a poison.
And up until quite recently as well. I mean, one of the leading treatments for syphilis up until I think at least the 1940s, 1950s was mercury, which obviously is dangerous for people to be exposed to.
But obviously, in hindsight's 2020, you wouldn't want to give somebody poison.
Was that a 2020 pun? I bet it bloody was.
Wound. So, again, the likelihood of that happening seems quite unlikely. But then again, this is a time where we didn't have much medical care, and you could die from a cold.
Also, Attila the Hun famously died from having a nosebleed. I believe on his honeymoon. He got roaringly drunk, passed out with a nosebleed, and no one was able to, stop it from basically, I think the blood drained down the back of his throat, and basically he drowned while drunk on his own blood, which is a horrible way to go.
So, you could die from small cold, you could die from a cut, you could die from too much air, maybe, I don't know.
Too much air? What are you going to do? Push them off a cliff and go, they died from too much air?
No. But the likelihood of dying from a scratch seems very, very low. And I think that there might not be something quite right with this. But if it is correct, this is probably one of the stupidest ways to die, especially for a Viking warrior, that I know of. I think that'll do for the inaugural episode of Weird and Stupid History. I don't know how long these videos are going to go on for, as in length of the videos. There are some stories that are really long, so those will probably be quite long videos. But this one was a nice little short story, I guess, and a little bit of a short story for you guys of probably one of the stupidest and weirdest deaths that I've seen. Especially from a Viking warrior who was probably well accustomed to the rigors of combat, to die from his enemy's buck tooth. And that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and please, if you did enjoy it and you want to see some more of this, please press those like and subscribe buttons, and also hit that bell so you know when I upload. And also, So this is the first episode. Why not give it a share on social media? Maybe put it on Twitter, maybe put it on Facebook, maybe put it on, I don't know, something else.
Ran out of words for social media there. But yeah, I highly recommend, not just because I'm his friend, but yeah, subscribing to his channel, and subscribe to mine as well if you'd like to, if you enjoyed my reaction video to his. At the moment I've only got a couple of videos, predominantly me making croutons, but that's hopefully going to change as time goes on. But yeah, definitely like, comment and subscribe to his stuff.
I don't know, I don't use much social media, but if you did enjoy that and you want to see some more different videos, check out over here. You will see the most recent video apart from this one at the top here, and down below that you will see, I suppose you'll see the History Buff Reacts playlist of all the History Buff Reacts I've done on this channel. That'll hopefully be changing soon, if these weird and stupid history stories do well. But I've been Zero, this has been weird and stupid history of the Viking who died to a tooth. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.
But yeah, I can highly recommend the History Buffs Reacts videos. It's him watching content from people like the Salmonella Academy, and he kind of does what I've been doing and just pausing and adding own history and own knowledge and so forth. But yeah, definitely check out his content. It is really good. And yes, I'm very biased, but it is really good. But anyway, yes. So, thanks for joining me for this weird experimental video. I'm going to go and edit this and upload it, and then await his angry messages. Hopefully there won't be too many. Anyway, see you guys in the next video.